Okay, so your floorboards have gaps, and you've probably read on a Facebook forum to use PVA glue and wood dust. Do not do that. Don't do that. It's bad advice. Here's why. Come and have a look. It has been done here before. Can you see? It was done there, but it's fallen out. It's not flexible, and it doesn't move with seasonal expansion and contraction, meaning it probably won't last more than a year. You might get lucky. Sometimes it does last a long time, but every floor I see generally has it in and mostly out. Let me show you some more. They've tried, it's been done there, it's fallen out, and it's pretty much fallen out everywhere. It's only held on in a few places, but here. So this was filled with glue and wood dust, PVA glue, and it's just fallen out because it won't move with the seasonal expansion. When these boards compress, it will squash it together, and when these boards relax, the filler falls out. So now I have to clean it out by hand, the bits where it remains, and I'm going to put something better in, something that will last. It's designed to move with seasonal expansion and contraction. It's a flexible acrylic filler, and you can even choose your colour. So let's go. So that was sawdust and PVA glue. It's mostly fallen out, as you can see everywhere else. It doesn't exist anymore. Thank you, sir.
Hello there. I use a blunt handsaw to clean out these gaps because where they haven't been filled, you can bet your bottom dollar that they have been filled with 100 years worth of gunk and compressed grime and dirt. So you can use a multi-tool, but it's best to minimise damage and use a blunt handsaw. It doesn't take too long. Probably mask up as well because it does kick up a bit of dust, and just make sure you hoover thoroughly. You want to get it all hoovered up and you want to get them gaps nice and clean. This will definitely help the filler stick to the joint. It will maximise that adhesion and it'll help it last a lot longer.
Okay. Run. So we've got rid of the PVA glue that was remaining, we've cleaned out the gaps, we've hoovered them. Now it's time for something flexible, acrylic, and something that's going to look a similar shade to the floor as well, so really going to elevate that Scandi vibe in this room, so let's go. Right, we're going to stick a new, I'm going to put a new tube on. New tube. Yo YouTube, this is a new tube. Right, we're going to stick this one on, take that lid off it. Always better to have a box to put it in and put all your rubbish in a box, otherwise you're going to have tubes everywhere. Keep on top of it. So we sell this at Sandown.shop. This is, we're going for middle oak. They do a real nice light oak as well. But I just fancied middle oak for this one because it's Baltic pine boards that are 100-year-old. They're going to have a little bit of tone in there. I think I'll just make it cosy. It's similar colour to the walls. Anyway, let's fill these gaps. Right, look at this, Tom. Can I just clean that lens, by the way? Come here, come a bit closer. Let's do this. Is that a bit better? Is that out of focus? We alright? Is that better?
Yeah. Marginally.
So I need to do that section again, do you think? I can?
No.
No. Okay, so look here. So we're filling the floor now with flexible acrylic filler that's going to move with the expansion and contraction. This here is it's a 10mm joint pretty much, this, I would say. So people ask how wide can you go? This is 10mm, and I think you're quite safe here, especially because there's still a tongue and groove remaining. Anything, I think, in excess of 20mm, it's a roll of the dice. It'll still work, but I won't put my name to it, but you could maybe try it up to 40mm, you know. Yeah, but there is a limit, naturally, like with anything. So let's fill these gaps. So we're going to sand this off. So that's why we're doing it like this. We're halfway through the sanding stage. So it makes sense to fill them now. And then we're going to push them down. Then we're going to push the filler down. Flush, push, flush. We're going to wet our finger just to give it a bit of shape. It also slightly recesses the joint, which is what you want, because then when you sand it, you will be sanding the wood and you're not really going to be sanding the filler. So I gather up the excess like that, and that does come in handy if ever you want to just pop it somewhere. you know, you might find a little bit that you can pop it in. But I'm going to save that for later because there's no little bits. But yeah, let's get filling this floor. I'm going to make a slightly bigger nozzle because we've got slightly bigger gaps. It's quite cool, you can measure on the nozzle, okay? Put this one in. Ooh. I think I'll do this one here. Now, it's probably best to do this at the end of day one of sanding and come back the next day. However, sometimes me and Tom will just wait in the van for something like an hour and a half, and then it's generally okay to sand off. The bigger gaps always take longer, so that's worth noting. And of course, you will always use more filler when you've got bigger gaps, so that goes without saying. So sometimes it's the margins are so small. A little gap can be twice as big, and it doesn't look like much, but you will use twice as much filler, obviously. So yeah, it's surprising. You do use quite a lot, but it's worth it. It won't fall out. It'll last as long as the floor lasts with regards to needing refinishing. It'll outlast it, but at the very least, the filler won't fail before the floor needs refinishing. So that'll be the job of the next person to see if they need to address it, but they probably won't. But you know, sometimes you might take the board out or something like that. Alright, nice. And then, so, what we're going to do, there's caulking tools you can get which shape it. You know, I just like to wet my finger into it. It's just how I've always done it. And you can see if you gather a bit up on your finger, I just realised that was a bit low, so I'll just, there we go. I'll just wipe it down here. It's best just to try and just wipe it once and try not to mess with it, especially after sort of 5 minutes or so. If you feel that it doesn't look that good, you can always just put a little bit of filler over the top and then run your finger down. Because when it starts to go off, you don't get the smooth bead or shape from the finger or from the caulking tool. So try and get it right, and don't mess with it. A little cheeky gap there, Tom. Then I think we will resume. Just using that excess, like I said earlier, just where there may be any lower bits that need topping up, it's worth doing that. But there isn't. Right. That's good, Tom, isn't it? Should we put some music on?
That's only if the floor is flat. If it's still hanging in there, you probably want to get back down to a bit of a coarser grit. But to be honest with you, you want to get it flat before. So use your 24 grit or your 36-40 grits to make sure you get that floor flat and ready for sanding. It comes off really nice with the 80 grit, and then you've just got the 120 grit to go. Tom there, who you just saw go by in the near side, he's using a finishing sander. You probably won't have one of them if you're doing it DIY, and it's not really necessary for these 100-year-old floorboards. They look fantastic either way, but make sure you give it a fantastic hoover afterwards. Honestly, hoover it and hoover it again. It shouldn't be underestimated. You don't want the dust settling and landing in the finish.
This hoover actually comes with another pole. The reason I have it half as long is so I can see closer to the floor. So we're ready to start cutting it up now. And the client wants it to look pretty much like it is now. So if you're rolling on a water-based varnish like I am here, you really can't go wrong. I just pick 3 or 4 of the floorboards at a time to do the edges and then roll up with my roller and then move along. Before you know it, you've covered all of the room and the floor is done. This is actually a bit wet at the moment, but it will dry really nice and blonde. These are quite old boards, so if I were just going to roll on a traditional varnish, I do think they would have gone quite orange. The client really wanted to keep them looking blonde. It's quite a trendy, modern finish. It's quite popular, so I'm probably going to show you how to achieve that in the next video, because it's just as simple as using the correct varnish. You can get 3 or 4 different finishes from one jug of varnish. Nice. Let's check this out then. We've got 3 coats down, it's dried. Oh, look at that as you come up. Look how flat and nice that is. Still obviously got the antique character. It's over 100 years old. Beautiful. So we've got the mix just right. It's getting dark now. The light does make a big difference as well. If that's a more red spectrum light, it'll bring a more red tone out. But tomorrow morning, when the client wakes up, this is going to be beautiful, Scandi, beach house vibes. It's going to look great. It's going to look old, but modern and contemporary. Real nice chiller vibe for a bedroom, really. So I'm really happy with it. Nice, right mixture.